It is good to see you. I was talking to some people yesterday and remarking about how, just like you mentioned, more or less at the beginning of your show, well, not quite, but a little while back, that you were sick and tired of talking about this COVID crisis. I'm saying COVID because I like how Brian from High Impact Flicks,
Yes.
puts it. Some people think he's too good to be true, but I like the way he calls it the COVID. Anyway, we're all sick and tired of it. But it's a bit like, I'd imagine, as you said, but you're going to have to keep talking about it because it's a bit like sort of saying, I'm tired of talking about the elephant in the room. But if the elephant is indeed going around trampling on everything, destroying everything in its wake, there is a lot of talk that needs to be done about how best to deal with it, and dealing with something is a soft word for taking action against something. A lot of people think that the Gandhi method of passive resistance will do. Maybe, maybe the war is won by a certain amount of battles, like your wife there saying, well, I won't do what you tell me to do, and I will make a personal sacrifice of driving 3 hours to go to another job that does not require me to take this thing in air quotes that you say, whatever it is. So maybe so, and I think they've conditioned so many people to believe that, rising up in any kind of direct confrontational way is wrong. And I will say that it would be wrong if people hadn't talked about what kind of world they want to build afterwards, and what kind of morality they want to have in a new nation if one were to be built. Because the point of a revolution is not to depose anybody. It's to say, you're clearly not fit for purpose and we have a better idea, because unfortunately not everybody in the world can be trusted to be good and do the right thing and only take whatever is necessary or something they earned. People will always want to cheat people out of stuff and want to be in charge for no good reason other than they just want to be in charge. So we have to talk about what system, if there needs to be one, would be put in there to replace these people.
That's a great point. That's something I don't think we've ever talked about. We've been so busy fighting the current evil. When that falls, where do we go from there, right? Who do we put in charge? Where do we go from there? That's a brilliant point.
Well, I mean, it's sort of quite an obvious one. I was reminded of it by a fellow who wrote a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. His name was Robert M. Pirsig. He died, I think, relatively recently, like something like within the last 5 years. Well, I could be wrong, but anyway, it wasn't so long ago. He lived to be 88, and this book was a philosophy book, and it was about how people always complain about it. They just can't stand it anymore. They can't stand all the talk about it. It just upsets them so much that they don't want to talk about it anymore, and they don't even want to define what it is.
Exactly.
And it kind of turns out that it is the system. And then people don't even want to define what's wrong with this system. They just know it's wrong, and if they were in charge, things would be different. And you go, how? Different how? And they go, just better. Oh, better. What? Define better, And people don't want to define these loose concepts. So Robert M. Pirsig said in his book, there's so much talk about the system, but so much or so little understanding, not only about what it is, but who they are. So, I mean, if you're a person, people don't even want to be pinned to the wall and be asked, like, who are you? Because they might define themselves by what they do as a job. Okay. And there's a lot of people who are going to have to find something in themselves that's far more distinctive than just what they do as a job, what their job title is, or, what kind of a car they drive.